Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
That is how you kick off a Thursday. That's right. Thank you all for that warm welcome. We'd like to welcome back to the show digital creator, Jax Irwin. Hello.
I forgot how electrifying this live audience is. Like, there's nothing like this. Ladies, thank you for having me.
We have the best audience on television. The best. Okay? All right, everybody. Well, let's keep this going, maybe, because you wouldn't be wrong now if you said that Kim Kardashian was full of hot air. Why? This is a 60-foot inflatable version of Kim K, smack dab in the middle of Times Square, New York City. So what's this all for? It's the promotion for her latest swimwear collection. And before we ask the question, is it working? Well, we're talking about it on Canadian television. So clearly the inflatable worked. But what else do we think? What do we make of this inflatable version of Kim K? What do you think?
My goodness. First of all, there are stranger things happening in Times Square. To be honest, like, whether it's Young and Dundas or Times Square, like, there's more wild things happening. But of course, it's Kim Kardashian, and people are going to go for the jugular. My favorite comment, I think, was, this is an unrealistic, representation of a body. It's a 60-foot blow-up. Of course it is. Like, I would love to be taller, but I'm not going to be. But yeah, it's like, there's bigger fish to fry right now. Let Kim be. She's minding her business somewhat.
I couldn't agree more. Like, it's the location, right? Big, brash, and branded. That is literally Times Square. We might have a different conversation if this were in the Met Gal or the Met Museum. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Then we might be like, is this art? I don't know, but it's perfect.
I think people are missing the plot. The fact that we're talking about it, think about Times Square. It's 25,000 square feet, 4 different levels, 15,000 square feet of LED lights and signs. Even the posts have signs, the garbage cans have advertising. But what are we talking about? We're talking about this one blow-up doll. Congratulations, Kim and Kim. You did it. You absolutely did it. And if anything, I was thinking, you know what? I think we should have our own blow-up doll. You guys are with it, right? And we like, like the Oscar Mayer Wiener, truck? We have something like that, but it's a blow-up doll of all of us traveling across Canada, advertising that we're on Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. That would be brilliant, and we should still go into it.
I'm into it, and can I put myself in a bikini, too?
I'm gonna be on top of the wiener.
Riding it like a horse. Okay.
There's no wiener in ours.
There is. Oh, okay. That's
You
just
want to be on top of the wiener, she said.
I'm back. Wow.
That's a majestic image.
I will say this, listen, it's not lost on me. They call this spectacle marketing. And it's why it's so brilliant in its simplicity, kind of, is because she's doing all this and she's paying almost nothing for it. Free advertising. You know how hard it is to cut through with a message? She's dominated social media, but clearly dominating social media is not enough if you're a Kardashian. You got to dominate. And if anyone's been to Times Square, we probably know this. There's a ton of news channels and TV stations that they actually shoot into Times Square. So now you're trying to do a serious newscast. You have to talk about the Kim case because her boob is behind you and you can't ignore it. So it's brilliant marketing. And it's also not lost on me that this is a blow-up doll. So she's not targeting just women, she's also targeting men.
This gentleman, we have what are you doing Friday night? No, I mean, we could have some great conversation, I feel like.
I was wondering where that question was going. All right, let's rescue the conversation, move on. Former Today Show host Hoda Kotb told People magazine that she just doesn't look at herself in the mirror anymore now that she's not on TV. So could you ever go mirror-free? Audience? I see a mixed bag.
I feel like I definitely could. I don't know if it's a thing with age, but I feel so good on the inside. It's like a mirror just sort of ruins that delusion. Who needs it? You know what I mean? It's hard to escape, though, in front of our washroom, in front of our toilet, rather, upstairs. We have a full-length mirror. So, every time you sit down, it's kind of hard to avoid. You're just like, oh, hey there.
There I am.
And if you've just had a shower, you're just like, oh, hey there. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating perspective to have.
That's interesting because I have the opposite. I have mirror dysmorphia where, I don't know about you guys, you know when you're getting dressed and you're getting yourself together? In my head, Naomi Campbell, sit down. They never looked this good.
Yeah.
Right? I never looked this good. I've been like 40 pounds heavy and I'm like, look at your flat stomach, girl. And then I will go out, go to the restaurant, go to the bathroom, and then I'll look in the mirror. I'm like, what in the LeBron James is happening here? Who is that person? So I have the opposite. When I'm at home, my mirrors are lying to me, and then when I go out public, I'm like, it must be the lighting here.
It is. It's the
at
lighting.
home, I'm perfection.
It's
But
true.
yeah, I get
It's
it.
true. Are you team mirror?
When it comes to the bathroom especially, no, I have a rule. I don't want a scale in my bathroom.
Okay.
I don't
I like
want
that.
a really close-up mirror in my bathroom, and no men in my bathroom. So 3 things. No men, no mirror, no scale. But maybe I want to live in a naive world where I can't see my light Santa beard or, the pores on my nose. I try to stay away from mirrors as much as possible. And be honest with you, I don't wear as much makeup as I used to. This is my first time doing TV, in a live audience in 2 years. So,
wow, okay.
So if I can just live with no mirrors and no consequences, let's go, girl.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
When Jax does incredible social media. You gotta follow her if you don't. It's some of the most unique, funny content I've seen, and heartwarming as well. But when you do that, I've never paid attention to if you have makeup on, because what you're doing is so entertaining on its own. But do you don't put on makeup or even think about that?
I put on a little bit, but you can tell that I don't know how to do makeup. Yeah, it's a little bit up here. Okay, she forgot about that. So I just don't look at the videos too closely, okay?
Well, no, it's a good point because I think the medium makes the message also. I mean, I've been on television for almost 20 years, and so I'm one of the people who we do have lots of hair, makeup, wardrobe. We have a team back there. It's like Santa's village back there, and thank God for them.
Yeah.
And some people really like that part of the job. And I'm one of those people, I love the glam of our job. I really do. And why? Because even if I wasn't on TV, I think I really love hair, makeup, wardrobe. But outside of that, I also am very cognizant when we're not on television, we meet people. I also don't want to disappoint people who see me on the street. And if I don't have any makeup on, I look like I just crawled out of a ditch. And so when I meet people, I don't want them to be like, oh, that's what you really look like. TV. So I also do feel like we're always on. So when we meet people on the street, even if I'm grocery shopping, I was getting a mouth guard tested for the other day, shaped.
Yep.
And the dental technician was doing the thing, and she's looking at me, and she's doing my teeth, and then she's looking at me, and she goes, you really look like this girl on TV. I know it's not you, but you really look like her. And then I didn't know what to say.
No, you lean into it. I call it incognito. When I go, listen, when I go, all of this comes off, and when I go out, I keep my mouth shut, and nobody knows who I am. I'm in the grocery store, elbow to elbow with people, and I'm like, they don't know it's me because look at this girl. They wouldn't recognize it. Just keep your mouth shut, and you're all good.
Oh my God!
And if they say you look like, I was like, do I? I hear people tell that. Maybe I don't know.
No, but then you talk. No, Andrea, the second you open your mouth, they hear your voice, and then it's out.
That's a giveaway.
You can't lie, right?
Yeah, you can't.
So I'm sorry for anybody who sees me at my daughter's school drop-off every day. It is me, and I'm sorry.
One of our viewers wrote to us for advice. That's so cool! So Jenny says, my partner and I have officially decided that we don't want to have kids. I know this will crush my parents because they are desperate for grandkids. Do you think I have an obligation to formally tell them, or is it none of their business? What do we think?
Honestly, I mean, speaking from experience, I don't think my mom cared. I don't think she cared. She cared if I was happy, didn't care if I had kids, And maybe it's an different experience for queer folks because I think she wasn't sure if I wanted to or maybe how that was going to happen down the line. But I was lucky enough, my mom and my dad were accepting when I came out. But she was just like, just don't get in trouble. Mind your business. Move out of my house and just, anything after that is great. But I don't think you need to tell your parents whether or not you're having those conversations because I think as long as you are happy and you're their kid, they don't have to worry about the kids that come after you. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
I wish your mom had talked to my mom, because my mom cared a lot. I knew by high school that I didn't want to have kids based on the fact that all my girlfriends were already planning their weddings, and I was like, how come I'm not having that feeling?
Yeah.
And no matter how many people I told, no one is going to believe you. You can write a letter, you can write it in your own blood.
You're gonna change your mind.
You're gonna change your mind. Even my OBGYN, I had issues with fibroids, and I'm like, I wanted a hysterectomy a long time ago, and she's like, let's just wait, because you might change your mind. So I didn't have it until 2019, but no one ever wants to believe you. So it doesn't matter if you told them formally or not. Yeah,
man.
I think there's also the cultural component to it as well, and expectation. Every family's different for sure, but I know as the child of immigrants, there's so much sacrifice in their story. They will always tell you, oh, I walked uphill to school both ways. Life is so hard, and it was for an immigrant family. But I think part of the sacrifice is believing that you are coming to a new world to have children, to give them the opportunity to thrive. And for many of those families, mine for sure, it was, what is the fruits of our labor? What is the fruits of our sacrifice? It's that, yes, you're happy as a child, but the expectation was actually much more clear than that, spoken or unspoken. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna go to university, get the good education, you're gonna get a good job with benefits, maybe with the government, and then, stability, then you're going to get married, and then you're going to have children, and I'm gonna have grandchildren. Now, whether they said it out loud or not, there was this expectation. I certainly felt it, even though my parents never put pressure on my sister or me to have children. But I remember when I told my mom.
You felt it, though.
I felt it, but not as a burden, but something that I really wanted to say, like, your sacrifice was worth it, and here you go.
Like a mission.
It was a full circle family thing, but also finances matter. If you don't tell I know my parents, thank God, they have these little nest eggs for my sister and me, but also now, since I have my daughter, there's finances involved. They want to help pay for her university if she wants to go. So if I didn't tell them, I'm not gonna have a kid, they might have a different life. They may take that money and do many other things. So I think it behooves you to tell them if they're trying to financially plan to help you, I think.
Okay.
I think, What about you, Jess?
I don't think my parents cared. Or they just, similarly, they never asked. It got to a point where I felt like, well, I guess I better, I felt the obligation to tell them, and I must have been 45, which is pushing it, if you know what I mean. And I remember kind of being telling them individually they had been separated at that point. Simon and I have talked about we're not having kids. They're like, so what's for dinner? Did it
matter? Did they already have grandkids?
No, my brother ended up having one child who is my nephew, who is 12, and so I think that's
took the pressure off.
Took the pressure off to a certain point. It was never pressure. And I think about this because my mom has 3 siblings, and 2 of those siblings don't have kids. So I wonder if it was normalized like a generation earlier. In a sense, I don't know. But it never occurred.
That's actually a good point, because every single one of my parents' siblings, they all have children. Multiple children. I have one uncle who has 9 kids.
Wow.
And every single one of those kids is married and has children. So they're their own party. So maybe that's another component.
Are there grandkids already in your family?
So my brother has 2 children. So he has 2 boys. So maybe that, bought me some time. I remember feeling though, almost like, why aren't you asking me when I'm having children? And then I was like, well, I don't even want to have it. So it's like I'm creating these, these conflicts in my own head. But I think my mom was just like, I don't care. Do what you need to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
fascinating.
Let's take a moment to honor the saucy Canada Goose right now. Stood on guard for us all and fought off a bald eagle. Now, this symbolic 20-minute battle for survival was captured by an Ontario photographer, and I'd say it speaks for itself.
That's incredible.
So, ladies, what do you think about this? Mel, I'll start with you.
First of all, I didn't know. This is going to make me sound so dumb, but I did not know we had bald eagles in Canada. And I didn't. And apparently they are in every province and territory.
Yes.
But listen, why I love this, I think it represents a lot. Like, we are being tested as Canadians right now, and I think we are starting to find that inner power and strength. And I think we're showing already early signs of our resilience. It's early days. So thank you, Canada Goose. But it also made me realize, should we just be rounding up all the bald eagles and shipping them back down south?
Or putting a tariff on them?
Maybe we should tariff them.
It's almost comically symbolic. Like the bald eagle is a bird of prey. Like it kills and eats things. And when I think of the Canada goose, it's just so docile.
They're pushy. They're pushy.
Until you provoke it. Until you provoke it. Or if you go around when they're nesting, then it protects its children.
Have you followed a lot of them?
I have followed a lot.
Yeah, I was like, she knows her behavior quite in depth. Yes.
I am so happy for this photographer. Don't you feel like nature photographers, they're a niche group. They're a tight community. This is his day in the sun. I want to say his name out loud. His name is Mervin. Mervin, way to go, bud. Shot of a lifetime.
I'll go even further. I think we should put some respect on this goose's name. I'm going to assume that it's a woman, a female goose, just because I want to. And I think, you see the way we treat Wyerton Willie, where we give him his own day and we get dressed up and we hold him up like Simba from The Lion King? I think we should put the same respect on this goose, find this goose, name a day after it. I already have a suggestion. National Cobra Chicken Day, which is the nickname for the Canada goose. You guys
Cobra chicken?
Yeah, because it hisses.
When you
Cobra chicken. It's a Cobra chicken. And then we commissioned a Canadian artist to build a gigantic statue of the goose. Dominating the eagle to represent our good and national pride. That's my suggestion.
Wow.
I feel like I'm under-researched on birds on this show. Like, I feel like you guys, their sounds. I'm on the internet, and I'm, whether it's TikTok or the news or Instagram, and when I finally have a break from all of the politics that are online, when I go to nature, I want peace and not birds fighting in the sky. So I've got to say, I hope that the birds work it out. At least they work it out.
At least they work it out.
There it is.
Oh my God.
I think we're all going to look at Canada geese a little differently today, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Throw respect on their name. It's true.
The Cobra chicken.
The Cobra chicken.
Wow.
Didn't know. All right, everybody. So remember the days of chatting on the family. What is happening here? Remember the days of chatting on the family phone for hours?
Yes.
Well, according to the New Zealand Herald, there's a growing number of parents that are bringing back landlines for their kids today. What do we think of this?
I love this idea. First of all, shout out to my parents who gave me my own landline with my own line by the time I was in junior high school.
You're fancy.
I don't like to brag, but it's kind of a big deal. But I love this because I would love to see a group of young people not staring at their phones as they are with each other. I love the idea of them talking to each other on the phone. I also love this for parents because when you have that smartphone, you don't know who your kid's communicating with because there's so many different apps.
Yes.
That phone rings, you see the call display, and you're like, oh, Amy's calling. Okay, you can answer that call. You can also tell them when to get off the phone. So it gives parents a little bit more autonomy. And I also just like the idea of just getting rid of that desire for the smartphone. Because I know every single parent who has a child under the age of 14, 15 is being harassed on a daily basis for the smartphone. So maybe this will get rid of that. And they'll be like, okay, well, I actually get to talk to my friends and I'm still feeling pretty good and I don't need this thing that affects my mental health. So I think it's a win-win across the board. I love this idea.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah. I love a landline. I want more landlines. I want more people to have, phones that can answer because I like to call strangers, which is a weird thing to say like that.
Yes.
But for good reason. So I like to call strangers, and it's always on landlines. I think we have a clip of it, but I'm not as creepy as I sound.
No, you gotta see it. You gotta see it.
Okay, let's see this.
Hey, you.
Hello?
Hey, you. How you doing?
Oh, good. I can't hear you. We're having a torrential rain and thunder and lightning storm, so.
Well, I wanted to check in. I heard you guys are getting buckets of rain.
I couldn't believe it.
And what's for supper tonight?
Nothing.
Nothing? What do you mean nothing?
I stopped at McDonald's and got a chicken burger.
Oh, you bad girl, did ya?
Just to give you a bit of context, I am from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Any East Coasters out there? Shout out. And last summer, I don't know if it was just, that homesickness or what, but I thought, I wonder how long somebody would talk to me without asking who it is. Because, East Coasters are just so nice. Yeah. So out kind of a social science project, I called an East Coast number and I got through to her. And she just kept chatting. She told me it was for dinner. And like, that's only half of the clip. Like, oh yeah, she went over
She
to
never asked,
Emily's.
"Who is this?"
No, and I've done a bunch of calls since. And the second that they ask, who is this? I'm not out to trick anybody. I don't want to, take advantage of anybody.
No.
So I'll say it's Jax or, oh, this isn't Brenda, sorry, wrong number. And, but my God, they'll just keep chatting and chatting. And it's like, yeah, so landlines have really brought me closer to older East Coasters, which is the weirdest thing to say.
That is so beautiful.
People say, it's like nice of me to call them. It's nice of them to answer because I'm lonely too. My God.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's a really, really beautiful thing.
Have you tried calling anybody in Toronto? What's
Yes.
that response been? Just curious.
Well, there was no answer because everyone's busy, and too busy to pick up.
If you don't text them ahead of time that you're going to call, then they don't answer.
Exactly. But that's the thing is, like, I would never answer a phone call from an unsolicited number. But like, I love calling people in general, and people don't like to talk on the phone.
It's shifted a lot. And I will say this, I know some of the parents, at least in New Zealand, that are doing this, they're not even getting the phones with call display. Remember the old school rotaries?
Yes.
They're so old school that you can't even see who's calling. So the kids apparently love the novelty of like, the phone's ringing and we don't know who it is. Like, we don't know what that is anymore.
I love the sentiment that you guys are saying or expressing, but don't you think the novelty of the phone, of the landline would wear off very quickly? And then what? Like, you're not really preparing them for anything because the novelty will wear off very quickly.
You think so?
Yeah,
Have you been around a bunch of chatty teenagers?
It presupposes that, like, it's not going to, in a couple of years or a couple of months when the novelty wears off, they're going to have to get a smartphone. And so we're not really preparing them for anything because time doesn't move backwards.
Or maybe they don't want one.
But the whole world, like, again,
that's a good question.
We can't bottle this. We can't shove it back into the bottle.
I'll give you my home example. My daughter's turning 11 this Saturday, and all she's been asking me for is a smartphone. She is exactly the age. Now, does she have an iPad? She does. We have TV and all of those things. But I love this idea because, A, to your point, it's going to teach kids how to communicate again. How to actually have a conversation again. How are you? Right? They don't do that like
this. If we
this.
want our kids to learn the art of conversation, we could try talking to them.
No, but here's the other part.
They're staring at their phone.
The novelty's going to wear
then
off.
take the phone away.
If there is a novelty that will wear off, but I'm going to tell you what's going to kick in first. We didn't have a fancy phone like you, so we had one in the kitchen. Only one phone in the kitchen.
Wow.
So you had to talk to your friends, and if you wanted to get private, you had to kind of go like this.
How do you talk to that boy?
You don't, right? But you would get to the point where you're older, 12 or 13, and what do you do if you're like, oh, this is getting really annoying? You actually go to their house and meet face to face.
True.
So I don't think there's a downside to any of this, and the only upside is more human to human contact.
Next up, send your text messages via passenger pigeons.
What? She said passenger.
Passenger pigeons.
Just in case you're wondering. Jax, your phone calls, your joy. It's been a minute, but thank you for coming.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.